Yo, we always smoke pure, nothing but good vibes up in here. Blaze the ganja, keep it fire, Grambo grows, burning desire. Learn about cultivation, step by step, you can rock out the negativity. Cannabis vibes up in here. Grambo grow, rhymes up in here. Grow, I bring you life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's that time. I'm unprepared. Oh, hey, what up, everybody? Nothing but good vibes up in here. Grambo grows. Thank you, Cannabis Vibe, for that awesome theme song. It really does always get me hyped up every time he gets to nothing but good vibes up in here. Yeah. Here's the fire. Keep it fire. Grambo grows. I'm all about that. I'm all about that life. And shout out right off the bat, you guys see it wasn't an error. My man Aaron Woodley just had a kid. Congratulations, Bubby. I can't believe you're here hanging out with all of us schmucks. I hope it wasn't just now, but that's a huge deal. All of us stoner parents, we all know what it is, and super shout out to you. I sat and with my little girl all day today. I just dropped her off and we were coloring porcelain horses today. So shout out to you, buddy. And clickety clack, 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 clack. And mwah to you, Aaron Woodley. Congratulations. If you can't tell him, balls. I got a little extra high. Okay, yes, I gotta get my shit together. So I'll bring in my buddy here and we'll hang out for a second. You guys, it's been an crazy week. Shout out to you, Aaron. Congratulations, buddy. I was supposed to have been in the hospital myself, and my surgery got canceled the day of my damn surgery because some insurance BS. Total crap. It's one of those classic, like, out of network things. For some reason, my doctor sent me to a surgeon that's out of my network, and no one really noticed or cared until I showed up. I show up in my jammies. I got like my jammies on. Like, I'm all like, all right, let's do this. I fasted for a day. I haven't smoked any freaking herb. And yeah, they're just like, no, we don't have you in the system. I was like, oh man. But yeah, I used it as a jumping board. I'm here in the Boner Lodge in my studio here in South Denver, over off the campus of DU, and I'm moving. I'm getting a new place. It's actually a big deal. I've been living with Church of Cannabis Nate and Church of Cannabis Mags for a couple years. It's been an awesome experience. But I'm a dad of a 5-year-old girl, and I'm moving and changing in my life. So this is the last month in the Boner Lodge. I'm moving next month, so I'll be over in the South Broadway neighborhood, the Sobo. It's gonna be awesome. So yes, thank you guys all for the wishes of the surgery, but yeah, I didn't have it. And you know what else I didn't have was a beard job by Sicko Gross. Beard job sounds like something funky. I shouldn't say that you give me beard jobs, should I? That's like gross. But yeah, head up Sicko if you're in the Denver metro, Colorado area. So you guys, this was a crazy week. Last week, my guest for tonight, he got lost in a field of ganja, as it were. Crazy. The pictures that you guys got to go follow this guy over on Instagram. Make sure you catch all of his stuff over there. Yeah, he so he wasn't able to show last week. I didn't feel well last week, and I was surgery, so I got way too high. I barely remember fucking last episode. So thank you guys for all dealing with. That was a good. I was very high, and it did okay, and it got a lot of likes, and so I was very happy that you guys didn't hate me going solo. I was way too high. Made sure to not get as high, but shout out to Green Dot Labs. They have here in Colorado, we have this Green Dot, and they're live rosin. This strain, Lemon Grinder, I swear to God, it's one of my favorite cannabis strains I've ever I've ever smoked. I describe it as putrid or orgasmically putrid is what I would describe it as. It's ridiculous. So shout out Green Dot Dave, Green Dot Lab, sponsor me. Be my sponsor. And I don't mean to the podcast. I mean as me as a human. I will fucking just walk around as your fucking guy. So, all right. Last week I brought it up. We're gonna talk clones with the clone keeper. Everyone always asks me, where do you get your cuts from? And I go, I get it from my man, Mr. JR Tokin. So you guys got to hit up him on Instagram. And let's bring him in and see what's going on. What happened last week in the ganja farm? He's almost in another farm. You's a farmer. You's a weed farmer now, eh, JR Token?
What's up, brother? Yes, I am, and thanks for having me on the show, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for making it, man. I was nervous there, getting towards because last week you got lost in the field. Like, oh, maybe you got lost.
Yeah, wow.
I saw what it looked like. I was like, holy crap! Like, yeah, dude. You were out there, and I guess there was some phenos you were inspecting. Like, what was going on? Whose farm was it, and what were you doing? How many plants did they have?
It was 30,000 plants in the ground, and it was.
God.
Some of the pheno hunts themselves were like couple hundred at a time, some 200 and 300, just rows and rows of stuff. And when you get out to a situation like that, you don't really kind of know how to approach it. It's so, it's just mind boggling. And so the first day and a half, I was just trying to figure out how am I going to be able to present this in a way that kind of, brings honor and respect to the farm. And so I think I ended up making it a 3-part series, and it's over there on our Cannabis YouTube channel. And just yesterday, I toured a decent sized Oregon rec farm that has some beautiful outdoor, and that episode went up this morning.
Nice. Hell yeah. I was just over getting my stream set up to go visit your YouTube channel over there. You and Q Grows, man. It's always good. You know what my favorite part of traveling out west is seeing you guys hanging out. Soup came out. I saw you and Soup and Q Grows at the Emerald Cup. That was so much fun. I was so glad.
Yeah, I hope you can come out next year, Grambo, because we had Dirk on today and we had Dude on today, and Dirk wants to come out and do it. Yeah, he wants to come out and do it kind of big next year for Emerald Cup. So you definitely have to, put that in your schedule, brother.
It's in my schedule. I had so much fun. I want to stay on Alameda again.
Oh, bro, that
Look at
place
this.
was
chill.
What's up, everyone? Welcome. We are live.
I clicked on the wrong video. I just saw the dude and panicked. Hell yeah.
That Beulah Farms there. That Beulah Farms there is the one we just visited today. And they're in a very unique situation in that it's pretty dry there. So they can kind of pack and stack a lot of stuff in. And then they can push their season all the way up until like sometimes the first week in November, where a lot of people have to be out of the ground and running.
That's so
What's
crazy.
up, Cortez?
Yeah, can we give a shout out to Cortez? I spoke to him here just a little bit ago, and he was doing his show earlier, and he lit himself on fire accidentally and burnt the ever-loving hell out of his hand. He was torching something, and a Grove bag started on fire, and he put it out like a gangster. So I don't know if that episode came out today, but you're gonna want to check out the conversations with Cortez.
Yes,
I heard it. I heard it's fire.
Yes, definitely check that out.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Anytime someone can drag the dude out of wherever he's hiding in Canada and get him on a mic that isn't the Dude Grow show, I told him in LA, I was like, I'd love to get you on here sometime. And he's too busy on Cannabis. I can't bother him.
Oh, I know. And he was like, it was just like right up to the last minute. He wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it or not. But he did. He swooped in and we hung out with Dirk. It was really a good time. I mean, we were just kind of breaking down the, kind of the stuff about, powdery mildew, botrytis, and, just the way to handle and tackle bug situations, So, but we ended up having just a bunch of bullshitting sessions as well. So It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always it's a blast to get to hang out. I've hung out with you as much or more than I've hung out with Brett, the dude. You know, is it Brett or Brent? I think it's Brent. I say Brent.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's like our deepest joke. Like literally, like Scott loves his like he just beats a horse to death with jokes. You know, and
Yeah.
he's been doing this. Is it Brett or Brent gag for 10 years?
Yeah, it's so
And
good.
I've followed it. So that's so big. I was talking with Brent. Brent or Brent? I don't know. So crazy,
He's
dude.
totally the dude.
What would it be like if you just like the way like they say running naked through a cornfield? If you ran naked through that, how long would it take before you got the resin glands off of you? Like
Oh yeah,
harvesting just like normal plants is a
hey,
nightmare.
well, I'll tell you, you definitely get sticky dick, that's for sure. And that
That's
was
my new
one of
strain coming out. If you guys haven't tried sticky dick, it's my new cross.
Definitely, but no, bro, rubbing your face and all that shit, it was just like eating some incredibly sticky fish. It was a good time.
Oh, fish, huh? Sticky Pussy's the name of my fucking ska band. Hell yeah. So what was it like? Walk us through it. You go out there, it's a sunny, bright day, like
Yeah.
which is a coos, the body charas.
So it was like, get there
Smoke
early
me,
in the
baby.
get there early in the morning because once the sun starts coming down and it just kind of fucks up all your shots. So you get out there super early, and I did the interviews with each of the guys, and then I just nerded out on all these rows because they had tags on every row that would tell you what each strain was or each row was, and
So
I
it's
was
like a
able to.
concert. It's like
Bro,
a freaking arena of weed.
it really was. And the pheno hunts they were doing were, they were some amazing stuff. And they had some really stellar genetics, and they also had some of the classics in there. I saw some Chernobyl, which was the golden ticket variety, which was an old TGA strain that I haven't seen in years. They had some forbidden fruit, which is always a classic, and I'd never got to see that in its El natural form. And they just had some really cool, like they had some tiki crosses out there, some really cool shit. It was a lot of fun, man. I'm telling you, it's like I could have spent 2 weeks there easily. But a lot of it was like their first year there. And the way they're setting up their farm is they're trying to have these avenues of SKUs where they can, kind of move product within the licenses that they have. But at the same time, when they shut down for the winter, they've got a breeding opportunity where they can start some kind of seed production and then bring those seeds out into those massive fields and start hunting stuff. And they're looking to kind of break the bottleneck of a lot of the genetics that we see nowadays with a lot of, Kim, Cookie, OG, that kind of varieties of stuff has kind of been pushed out, throughout a lot of the gene pool. And so they've got access to some of these older breeders. Adam Dunn is going to be part of it. Uncle Andy is going to be part of it. Jinx Proof is going to be part of it. OD Diesel is going to be part of it. Tim, Bio 365 Tim, and a couple other cats. This other guy I don't remember. But, I mean, it's going to be a group of dudes that have access to some of the genetics that could really break things open because, I mean, we're in a terp war now, I like to say, when I talk about it. It's like the consumer's getting educated enough to where, they want flavors. It's flavor, flavor, flavor. And everybody has their, thing that they like. And so the terp wars are on. And I'd like to see these guys bring some stuff to the table that folks haven't seen in a,
You know me. I got weed coming out my ears. I got concentrate coming out my ears, and Green Dot is a proprietary, all of their strains are proprietary. So like getting a cut of it is like, a nightmare. And so Yeah, I have hash coming out my brains, but they got this thing they're calling lemon grinder. I think it's a creme brulee times a cake times like a lemon G sort of pheno
Wow.
cut
Okay.
somewhere. And dude, it's so rank and so great that I went and I can get like 5 grams for $20 from my friends. And I went and it's not available on the med side. So I went and to the rec side and I paid $60, maybe more, 66 for 1 gram. That'll be gone in a half a day, whatever, because the terps, I was just like, what this is, I am not finding anywhere else right now. And this is what I wanted tonight. And so I paid out the nose for it, and then
Well, I'm glad you treated yourself for me, buddy.
I did. Well, last week I was really high on edibles and I was like, and I just was, I was out of it. But I did talk about, funnily enough, it kind of, because I wanted to talk clones with you, and you guys that want clones can get clones from JR. He's the keeper of the kaiju. Scotty just got his kaiju done, the kaiju kush. He's loving that stuff. And
it tastes amazing.
And so I got talking about, and I was thinking about how many newer growers that are in. I was talking with a guy that was in the chat, and he's like, "Oh, I just finished my first harvest," and I was like, "Wow, I don't even think about it. I just assume everyone in chat is like been growing 20 years, But there's so many new growers. So I actually stopped and I was like, let's talk about what cloning is. Day one, like 101, why do we do it? And then as I was just high rambling for like 20 minutes, I kind of stumbled into like that it's not just like everyone talks about cloning with like the keeping of the genetics, right? But when you like get to like a higher level, it's less about the genetics and it's more about the phenotype. When you hear these things like, oh, I have the AJ cut, a sour diesel, I have the Juf cut of the fucking guava gator, I've got the JR Tokin cut of the Paloma. What we're actually doing, the genetics, you can reverse plants, you can get seeds. There's males out of most things, but we're actually doing is we're cloning those phenos. And so the idea of like having hundreds of plants, tens of thousands of plants, and then within that actually running these cuts and everything, like, I don't know. How do they do that? Walk us through what's an industrial pheno, because it sounds like these guys are serious. They're as serious as you are about finding phenos, but they're doing it on an industrial scale. This is what I've been wanting to see my whole life. And you saw it. What is this pheno hunt like?
A good portion of it was actually from seed stock. So they would do in their greenhouses all of their propagation first, their seeds, but they also, like I said, had those ones in there that were kind of proven over the years. And those are just a situation where they start early. They get those as many cuts going as they can, get as many things in the pot as they can, and then hire a team, because often they would, they get to these points where they have to get some contracted help to come in and do some of these processes, and getting everything in the field is one of them. And but I'd like to talk a little bit about a home technique for ensuring that you're doing a good cloning process.
Please.
Often when we get cuts, our options are either slips or rooted cuts. I personally like sending out rooted cuts because then I know that they're well established in the cup. They're already hardened off, and it just makes it an easier experience on the other side for the customer. But the other side of that is you can order slips, and those are just cuttings that are going to come. They're not going to be rooted or anything, and then it's on you to dip them, root them, get them in, and do your thing. But the one thing I wanted to mention is there is some IPM that's involved with this process as well. And as you know, I like to send out samples of the Lost Coast plant therapy as part of your quarantining process. But when you're taking cuts yourself, or when you're receiving slips, you can do dunks. So you can make like a gallon pitcher of Lost Coast plant therapy, and you can dunk all your slips and all of your cuttings that you're making into this before you then put them into your cloner as a preventive and a protective barrier to make sure everything you're putting in is clean, because clean in, clean out is super important. And for a lot of newer growers, when they receive their cuts, sometimes they're not really mindful of that quarantining and what that should be. And so it can present big problems. I mean, because you take in the wrong thing, you think you're getting a plant, but you're getting a whole lot more. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of shit crawling around on some of those things, or PM or whatever. And so your quarantining processes are super important. And some of your IPM steps when cloning also is a good idea.
That's huge. See, I would be the type of lazy guy that's like, I sprayed it yesterday. It's fine. But actually just taking the time, make a picture, and since cuts don't care, you can dunk the hell out of a cut. Yeah. What about,
or even rooted, like if you get them in a rock wool or rapid rooter, you can dunk
the whole thing.
Yeah, right. You really can. Now, I will say, if you're going to do that process, make sure that you inoculate your roots again with some kind of microbial activity, because you will be kind of nuking that situation whenever you dunk those.
How much do you've taken a lot of cuts in your day, and honestly, you're fairly good at it, but I heard some debate in a conversation last week between two people. That one guy was speculating, are embolisms in plants even real? Like, dude, I've taken 10,000 cuts, I've never had one goddamn embolism. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I never have either. Obviously they're not fake or anything, but like, are we overblowing embolisms? Is that a thing? Like, because I have a buddy that does the razor blade underwater, 45 degree and everything, and I just take my Fiskars and just chop it at an angle, like. Any of that?
Never. I never have either. But then again, if something in the cloner looked fucked up, I wouldn't know it was from a root, from a bubble. You know what I mean? I would just think, oh, that thing's fucked up. But I mean, I get nearly 99. I mean, I get 100% rooting success in my cloning method. So I've never ran into it ever. I do the whole razor blade. I do like to hydrate them pretty, give them a good hydration the night before, or at least 8 hours before you're going to go take your cuts. They just are happier. Everything's flowing. They've got all their hormonal greatness going. And so it's a good time to do that. And, you just take your cuts and dip in your gel, because most people do that slice and then they're going right in the gel or some kind of rooting something, There he is, Scotty. Boom, boom, boom.
Which is a coos. It was like Mr. Real, and then he appears. My man.
That's like Jay Maestro. I used to do that back in the day before like Instagram and all that stuff. Well, it wasn't before that. Before everyone that got on there, there was Google Plus had this social media app. For a long time, they were trying to push social media. Google was. And so I didn't understand how any of that worked, right? All I knew is that if I put @J Maestro in the text, he would magically appear and give me all this awesome knowledge and information, right? And so that's how I kind of got hooked. That's how I got hooked up with J Maestro, because Scotty back in the day gave me a 30% off recharge code and opportunity. And so I just went on all these social media things saying, hey, the JR code will get you, I think it was 29% off or something like that, crazy like that. But I would just, this JR code, I would just go on all these social media platforms and start trying to push, to get recharge out there. And that's how I developed a relationship with Scotty. And that's how my whole journey has got me kind of where I am right now. And it's all because my wife bought me a fucking smartphone. Really, legit. I'd still probably just be growing weed in my garage somewhere, just hanging out with my homies or whatever. But it just, she handed me this thing and it just like revolutionized my entire life. And shout out to Scotty for that.
Yeah. Do you still got a Real Growers code, or has Cortez taken your
he took my lead sponsorship spot.
All right, use code Cortez at checkout. There you go, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, it was Junior Tokin. That's how I got introduced onto the Dude Grow Show. I think it was like 58 or something. The dude always F's up people's names, you know, so he called me Junior Tokin.
It's crazy. I remember I met you at the 2017 Dude Grows Cup. You were there and you were bud tending. And I like was talking with you just for a second. I was like, holy shit, JR Tokin. And I abide by this. I don't really care about like celebrity, you know. Like, you know, I remember at this ice rink I was at, there's that I used to work at. One of the moms was on like some like she was on like that, and everyone's like, oh, she's coming in. It's like, I don't give a crap about that, but there's like the people I do care about, you know. And so like I'm watching this Red Letter Media YouTube channel, and they're just some schmucks from Milwaukee, but if I saw them, I'm like, holy shit, it's you guys. And I told you that night, I was like, I don't give no shits about Tom Cruise, but JR Tokin, what's up, man? You were like, oh, so cool. And I remember I walked away, and my buddy that I was there with, he's like, oh, like a dude and Scott were like running around, and they're so busy, you know. And he's like, oh, they were talking to each other. And he's like, they're free, go talk to them. And I literally was like, nah, I don't want to go bother them. I was like, I'll meet them when the time is right.
So wild you say that, because I do that too. I get scared and nervous to approach, you know, it's like that fanboy thing inside you kind of takes over. And then, like you said, though, I mean, timing is everything, and your timing with the Dude Grows legacy, it was clutch, and it's so cool that you were able to transition in so well. I mean, it speaks to who you are as a person, Grambo.
Well, it definitely, and here's the answer to this question. Everyone always asks me this. Just type my name into YouTube. These are old clips. Don't judge me by my old stand-up. It's old stuff. I don't want to, it sucks, but I don't have any new tape, so you can find me over there. But JR, this thing made me pseudo-religious. Okay. I took a lot of DMT back in my youth, and like out of it. So I took DMT once a week, every week for a year and a half. And at the end of it, I essentially had birthed this religion I called coincidence, right? And then I hook up with the bakery guys, and like I see is in the coincidence, and Scott's in the coincidence. And I was like, I've never met another coincidence guy. And now I'm in a room with two of them. It's so weird. So I got off the road, JR, and I went and lived the dream of stand-up, toured the country, started in Florida, ended in Utah, from Pittsburgh to fucking Louisiana, everywhere in between. It was insane. But I came home negative $300, and I literally was like,
that's
man,
not bad.
It's not horrible, honestly. We went to strip clubs every night, so I'll take 300 in the hole. That's actually pretty good.
Hey, that's not bad, man.
And so he told me this like little like man on an island speech. And long story is, like, a man died on an island, and when he got there, it's like this a rowboat pass. He's like, you can row with me. And he's like, no, that'll take forever. God will save me. And then a cruise ship passes by, and he's like, no, I'm not going to swim. It's too far. God will save me. And then a helicopter flies by, and he's too weak. He's like, I can't climb. Don't worry. God will save me. And then he dies. He finds God, and he's like, bitch, I died on an island. Like, why didn't you help me? And he goes, motherfucker, I sent you a rowboat, a cruise ship, a helicopter. And when he told me that, I like paused, and I was like, PJ, when I get to Denver, I'm getting on the next helicopter. I'm going to believe in the universe. I'm going to believe in it when I get home. This trip's been so magical, but I need to take my life seriously. I got a kid. This is my last time of doing this. And I was like, I'm going to get on the next helicopter. Out loud, I told him. And I talked to Scott on Sunday, and he's like, yeah, come up, hang out at the bakery. He literally says words that will live in infamy to me. He's just like, I don't got no business to discuss with you or anything, but come hang out. And in between that Monday and the Friday of me getting there, Guru decides to move on, and I have no business to discuss becomes, do you want a job?
Yeah.
I got back to Denver, and I said I was going to get on the next helicopter. It took 4 days.
Yeah.
4 days of me being home. I was like, dude, this like coincidence religious thing, I'm just going with it. And
and we always have those we always have those forks in the journey, you know, and things can really go this way, or they could go that way. And sometimes you just got to trust that inner fucking, energy that you have that connects your heart to your gut, not up here, the shit that connects your heart to your gut,
I spent 38 years not listening to that.
Yeah.
And then the minute I started listening to it, I was like, oh, all of a sudden I'm like, And I don't say that to like just go off on a long-winded thing. There seems to be like a that I was like lurking in the weeds, like waiting for I was out on the road doing comedy. I literally walked in, was just like, what is happening? This like it happened so fast and out of nowhere. So yeah, I'm pseudo religious.
Let's talk
these
not
days.
even that, but let's talk about the skill set you had acquired up to that point that really positioned you to, you know, to excel.
Yeah, I consulted this. Someone asked me for advice on Instagram, and they're like I'm about to start my first podcast. Like, what do I do to like do X? How do I get a sponsor? And I was like, I got to stop you right there. I was like, I worked in this industry for 4 years, penniless. You just you don't make much money in the beginning, and then you make a little bit of money. And then if you stick with it, all of a sudden you go from a little bit, and I'm at the little bit stage. You can go from a little bit to a lot of it, in this entertainment game if you take it seriously. So I'm, the universe, I'm a stoner with no skills other than talking and producing video. I can only do those
so
two things.
good though. Hey, look where it's
And
got you,
the
son.
universe put me with you guys. So the fact that I had that conversation with you, what? I guess it would be fucking 7 years ago.
Bro, that's kind of a weird. We were all standing in that kitchen, and High C was there. One Eye Cat was there, and we're all. I don't remember who else was standing there, but I just kind of looked at us and like, we're the merry band of misfits, I guess, and we just everything just kind of started clicking. It started clicking in the, the direction that in the professional transition that the Dude Grow show was able to make them a very viable, I guess, show on YouTube and in the world of media. That whole transition happened at just the perfect time because, I think not to diss on Guru because I love Guru a lot, but he could only take the show production wise so far. When you came in and you started really doing some next level production, that's when it really started gelling. And the show that the Dude Grows has now and the way that they're able to utilize the resources. I mean, my God, their team that we have is crazy. I mean, the team of people working together to make that show what it is the stuff that I personally dream of. If I could have a Grambo, oh man.
I spent my whole career, David Fincher, he directed like Fight Club and Seven, and he was just like, you have to know how to do every single job on set as good as the person. And I just grew up under that philosophy. So I was like, I need to learn. I wanted to be on camera, but my friend that was my editor, he couldn't edit my vision. So I was like, I'm going to teach myself editing. Then I wanted to do animation. I wanted to make short films and so I just kept doing it. And I've been a grower. So the idea that like I'm hanging out and like, especially like shout out to like Jaron for bringing me into their family and like being able to hang out over with that whole crew. It's like, I've gotten this weed education, dude. And my friends we always say, check your weed privilege, check my friend privilege, dude. My friends are like all my favorite, all of everyone's favorite people. My homie says JR Tokin, son.
Good times,
get a
man,
hat
for sure.
How cool are these hats? No, everyone always sees the outside of the hat and they're super dope, right? The dopest part is the inside, dude. Like if JR's always sporting his, like they are the dopest hats, legit. Like
Alpine does such a good job. They were ahead. They were innovators. I mean, they were the first person or first company I ever seen that had a joint holder in your hat, joint holder, right?
And I can also lump some of that praise on Brett, man. Like you're talking about our team that we have. I wanted the David Fincher thing. Because I can do everything, I always do everything. And it wasn't until, High C is a better like titler. I don't do the titles on Dude Grows. I don't write the thumbnails on Dude Grows. High C does that. Well, I would do that as my job. It took me a while to like get comfortable with like, oh, my job is to like take all that energy that I was going to stick over here and just put it right at the show. And so edit it better, take all that time. And so it's and me and Guru had two different outcomes, right? The bigger the show gets, the bigger I get, the bigger Grambo is. I can go tour comedy and I have fans now. Like what's Guru going to do with fans? That and a dime will get you a cup of coffee. You know how it is.
Right, right.
Being known doesn't mean you get money, but the idea I can come to towns and perform now, that's just a win.
Really
Let's
sweet.
do this.
I know. I can't wait. I want you to get on one of those West Coast cannabis comedy tours. We had one come through where it was like 3 or 4 dudes, and it was a whole comedy set about cannabis based, and everybody got to smoke down in the audience and everything. It was cool. I didn't get to go because I was effed up, but I heard all about it. It's a good time. But one thing I wanted to say, about as far as Guru goes, is you made up a good point in that you have a very focused kind of job, right? You have a very focused tasks that you have to do, where the Guru was doing like about 4 or 5 different jobs.
Yes.
And he was just getting pulled in so many different directions that I don't think he could really give the time and energy to any one thing to make it, as great, especially as good as, but like he didn't have all of that, editing and all that animation and all of that stuff that really has made, the show awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm visual. So when I watch the show and it looks so professional and all the visual shit's right, it's cool. Yeah. I love it.
No, I just tell them it's a lucky situation for him. It's like making you look good makes me look good. So I want to look good.
Like Scotty says, make me look taller.
Make me look big, Grambo. That's my. I'm gonna get that tattooed on my knuckles. Look big. Yeah, dude. So yeah, it's crazy. The idea of like the full circle. I don't even know what we're talking about growing wise, but I definitely want to stay on the track of the pheno hunt. That's been the thing that I'm the most kind of in. It's kind of like the final frontier of your average grower. Like there's the far stuff like tissue culture and all that stuff. Your average home grower isn't necessarily all that. Cortez talking about, here's a funny thing also is you and I were together the night ChatGPT was invented.
Yeah.
Me and you had been talking about GPT-4 forever, and me and you were sitting at the table at the Cowboy Cup together, and we're talking about GPT. And then One-Eyed Cat is like on his phone on Discord, and he's like, "Oh, that's this thing was just invented yesterday." And we're like, "What?" Like ChatGPT was invented that night.
That's so wild too, because it's getting better. I mean, my bot, her name is Kala, and she got her voice upgrade, and now all of her voice communications are much more smooth, and it's getting better about allowing me to ask for link. I make sure that I get links for all the resources so that I can check her, because sometimes I got to educate that woman.
Yeah, no, it's like that's a great. See, that's I always respect because people think it's just like a fancy form of Google, or they'll just like ask it like yes/no questions or like specific things or something. But like you can have it do like the craziest thing. Like I remember I wanted it to find non-cannabis magnesium deficiencies in plants, and I didn't want to spend forever doing that. So I asked it to do it, and it found me like 10 amazing images of magnesium deficiencies in non-cannabis plants. I was like, dude, because here's the thing about this. So my girlfriend that I'm seeing right now, she's not a dog lady, not a cat lady. She's a plant lady. She literally is like obsessed with plants and knows more about growing in general than I do. I ever wish I could. She knows about all sorts of plants. So I am the most ignorant guy in the world on growing other sort of plants. What would you say in your pretty high level growing opinion? What makes you better at growing cannabis by growing other things? Cannabis is like the Ferrari. I always think of it. And it's like, wow, I got like some tomatoes. What is that? Like a Volkswagen Bug? What is that? What makes you better by growing non-cannabis?
I think because there's traditions and there's knowledge that gets passed down without all of the, societal barriers. So your access to knowledge and that stuff is, especially back in the days, was much easier through just regular gardening. But I think once you understand that a plant has needs, and you figure out its environmental needs, you find its nutritional needs, you find out how much light it likes to be exposed to and what kind of light it likes to be exposed to. And once you get those kind of parameters down, you could grow anything, just with a little trial and error for a decade.
All right.
Right.
What have you seen as far as that? You alluded at something that's been maybe the most controversial thing in the recent cannabis media sphere is spectrum. Certain plants, like that's what I'm learning from like Gabe and some of the 5/8 distribution guys and the Dutch Lighting Innovation guys, is that HPS ain't going anywhere. A lot of those old cultivars that we've been passing around, a lot of those genetic profiles. Jaron used to say, like here with the Fort Collins cough, back in his day, you didn't just get a cut, you got a recipe. You'd be like, here's the cut. It likes fed lightly at this point, use Pro Mix with GH nutrients. I heard someone say that's why sour diesel isn't singing anymore, because you're not growing it under HPS in an 85-degree room, stressed the fuck out with GH nutrients. Try that and you'll get those expressions back. It's like, oh man, what are you finding with spectrum? Like, are you still running any LED or any HPS? Have you moved on completely?
I just spoke to a lighting company that I was considering working with, and I spoke to their lighting engineer, and I asked him a lot of questions about spectrum because they were doing a tunable spectrum light where they had the white diode, the orange diode, and the red diode, and you could kind of blend in all the spectrums in between, with an interface that you do, and they're business to business, so it didn't really work for us. But anyways, my point is the expression of the plant itself, its genotypic expression, is going to very much change within the spectrum that it's under. You brought up the point that a lot of the stuff is bred under HPS, but there was still stuff out there that's been field bred out, in the Northern California areas and stuff like that. That may be different, but there's also that thing that Jay Maestro said, that if you're doing long flowering sativas, you really want kind of a bigger spike of red and blue, kind of pushing it to get it to finish towards the end. And so I think all of that is very important. And so we have a DGC member, Sunny, in Backtopia, and she grows my cherry paloma in a way that I don't see other people grow.
100% real. I'm not bullshitting you. If you would have just asked me cold without saying that, Grambo, you smoked a lot of cherry paloma, what was the best? I'd go, I think it was at the Cup, not this year, but the year before that, fucking Sunny in Backtopia. And it's because she grows outdoor, right?
No, she grows, well, she does a greenhouse, but her beautiful expressions are under single-ended iHor Deluxe 600-watt bulbs.
Oh,
and she runs them no glass. She runs no glass because she's in a colder region at most of the time until the hot of the summer. But she runs no glass. And so that's how I'm running right now. I talked to this lighting engineer, and he said that if you don't have a tunable spectrum, you're best off to checkerboard, do a mixed lighting where you're doing an LED fixture, HPS, LED, HPS. And so the way the commercial guys do it is because if you notice their double-ended stuff is pretty narrow in its hooding and casting, right? So they can really stack in those HPS double-ended bar LED, HPS bar LED, and they can checkerboard out a room with really tall ceilings. Now, for us, when we have these 8-foot, 10-foot, whatever your ceiling height is, it's really difficult to kind of checkerboard mixed lighting and stuff like that. But the point I'm making is a lot of the stuff that breeders do is under those HPS lights, and they are genetically, I think that shit gets built into the seed memory. I think like when you breed outdoors and you breed successfully year after year, the seeds and the plants start to build memory in there of their environment, of their lighting, of all the shit that might come across their way, bugs, whatever, right? And so all these plants that were kind of bred out under these HPS genetic expressions, I believe that's more of the stuff that we're going to run across whenever we're in a clone market and stuff like that. It's very rare that you're going to come across a 18-week, 16-week sativa that the homeboy has. You know what I mean? Most of the stuff we're running are those 8 to 10 week under HPS bred breeder type shits. And I will say, now that I've had this Paloma go out to so many people in the social media space and all emails and stuff like that, you really do see a tremendous difference in expressions in the way it comes out under their lighting, under their feeding, under all of
right.
you know,
Because
like you
this
said,
isn't a
those,
case where you're a breeder and you're sending out packs and people are like bringing out all these different notes out of your stuff. You're sending a cut, an actual the pheno, and then it's still expressing so differently.
yeah. You want to test it yourself? Just take a cut if you can, do it in your indoor house, and then do one in your backyard and just see for yourself what the difference is. You'll see. It all matters.
So
and then now we're learning. While I was going down all this rabbit hole, they just did a big bunch of studies about green light and what green light's function is to a plant, and it really affects the stomata aperture of the plant and the way it opens and closes its stomata. And it also has a deeper penetrating power to get lower than even the red, so that it can help modulate those lowers that aren't getting the same intensity of light. It can help them kind of get the nutrition and the light energy they need going on to do their processes. So
you know what
all of those spectrums and all that shit really does matter.
Scotty said, like, when I was talking about spectrum, he's like, Grandma's been hanging out with Jaron too much. And that is true, because they're all about their spectrum over there at the Dutch Lighting Innovations. But you know what it actually was that got me going on this? Was we had happened to talk with Shane from Migro. And then like 3 weeks later, we talked to Bruce Bugby, right? And like after hearing both of them independently, we're taking them left and right, like serpentine. And you know what a Dude Grows interview is. We don't like prep you with stuff. Like we just go in and we test your knowledge. Are you the real deal? And after listening to both Shane and Bugby both mirror each other's science, like to the letter, like everything they said. And then I'd spoken with Jair, formerly of Gavita, now of the DLI, and he said the exact same thing. And after those 3 conversations, spectrum and expression finally clicked for me. I finally got it. I was like, it's just like different photocell receptors and everything. And one of the things that Shane really blew my mind, and then it was the green. I'd always told people, I was always the bug in people's ears, because they'd always be like, oh well, plants don't see green light. And I go, yes they do. It doesn't disturb their phytochrome state at night, and so they can continue sleeping through green light, but they sure as shit absorb it and are stimulated by it, and it does all sorts of different things. And so what do you know about green light? What's the what's the wash or wash? Also,
wash or wash.
No.
I was like you. I wasn't ever even a fan of using green light at all in my plants. I just didn't feel comfortable about exposing them to light. And as far as, like I said, getting down that rabbit hole and learning about, the importance of some of these spectral qualities and what their functions are for the plant and the roots, because there's a trend in lighting and LED where they're chasing efficiency, because large setups get huge tax breaks and huge incentives for switching over to a more efficient lighting system, right? And so there's a whole marketing push behind that to sell a bunch of lights. And so, without saying anything, what I can say is, if you have giant spikes of red and you're using, it's if you're doing giant spikes of red, you're going to be pushing your efficiency far. If you're using green and some of those other spectrums and some of those other diode settings, you may not be as efficient in what your outcome is. And so you may find that a lot of lighting companies are pushing that far red super high, pushing that spike of blue, because those are super efficient ways to get their lighting the rating that's going to make them the most efficient light. Because back in the day when LED came on board, their pitch was, this is a HPS replacement. And so they gave you a flower light and they gave you a veg light. And their flower light was tuned towards replacing a HPS. Well, that all kind of changed. Things kind of went to an all-in-one light, and then it went super efficient light. And so it changed, in my opinion, a lot of the products. So now what it forces you to do as a consumer is to know what spectrums you're getting, and also know kind of what your diodes and drivers are.
Yeah, the bin of the diodes, and also like how many years these sons of bitches degrade. If there's one thing that talking with HPS manufacturers has convinced me of, it's like the problem is like now still the LEDs are cheaper because you're not dealing with bulb replacement and everything, but they just continue to degrade. So your spectrum that you're actually outputting and your power that you're actually outputting is dropping from day one, really starts skyrocketing around year 3, 4, and it's not replaceable. That goes in the trash after that. I've said it before, and so if people ever listen to the stream every week, they will know that I've told the story before. I was a CRI guy, color rendering index. The sun being 100, HPS being like 25 to 30, which is why I grew with CMH most of my, market day growing
They
career.
put out
I got great results.
fire.
Yeah,
People
I had
still
some
like those a lot.
Yeah, because they put out that bright white light, and so I was just a CRI guy. So I was like, once LEDs, all the CRI, it's like, dude, it's like in the 90s. It's essentially having the sun in your grow. Like I was a convert, and then the idea that like I'm hearing all these people I respect saying, yeah, well, but this is why you're not getting those OGs and those diesels like we used to get. Like we still have like Banner talks about, he's got the cut of the diesel, like going back generations, and then when I smoke it, it's like, well, I taste diesel, but I'm not getting, I get more, his jet fuel he'll grow will taste more like sour diesel than his sour diesel does. And that's because the jet fuel was selected in a more modern environment, whereas that diesel, you can't run it under LEDs and freaking, what does he use? I think he uses a nectar for the gods is what Banner. I don't know if I'm dry snitching him. He's a nectar guy.
He is a nectar guy. I will say too, like in some of these older genetics that you're getting, unless they've been tissue cultured, they may have been passed around for decades, and their expressions all tie into all those stress factors that have happened to them over their time as part of that memory I'm talking about that got built in. So you may get this fire. Oh God, I got the fucking, OG Kush original, Josh D cut. And it may have gone through 1,000 hands, had spider mites 1,000 times, powdery mildew, and every other goddamn thing. And that's definitely going to change the way it expresses in your garden, no matter how good of a gardener you are, or what system or type of system you use.
It reminds me of just talking about the nectar. I kind of forgot. You know how you forget things? Like, why did I used to do that? Why did I do that anymore? I've been running with the new Millennium. I got the new Millennium line, and fucking but no, I used to run Psycho, and I'd always put in Athena's Aminas and Herculean Harvest, and it was like my secret weapon. Why did I stop doing that? I gotta hit them up. I gotta get some Herc back in the garden.
Yeah, they're right here. One of their little distribution centers is not far from me in Oregon here. They're kind of they're in Oregon. And Scott, we've had Scott on the show. Actually, we interviewed him before his accident, like actually right before his accident. We haven't had him back on the show since, but yeah, he's a friend of the show. I mean, we should really reach out, because I think Banner would like to see him come on and ask him all kinds of new milk or all kinds of nectar questions. I still use their pH up and down. I just like it. It's simple. It's super organic. I would swear the down is just like lemon juice, but hey, I'll buy lemon juice from you. No, but really, they're up and down.
It's all infused with calcium and everything. Like Harley not Harley Quinn. Why the what
Uh,
like in not Harley Quinn, but Harley Smith. He my kiddo, she used to love Batman. There sucks about having kids. They get into things, you buy them the toys of the things, and then they immediately don't like it anymore. It's like so now I
Squishmallows.
keep the ones. Yeah, I only buy her toys that I want now. That's the hat. So it's like Harley Quinn. You can have a Harley Quinn. Psycho bitch. I love her. Oh, so yeah, no, the Herc is good stuff. They always talked about the calcium in there, and so Harley Smith always talked about the interstitial wall space. If you can fill that interstitial wall space with calcium, the PM hyphae can't even invaginate. Shout out to Scotty, invaginate the cell wall. So I was just a calcium guy. I was a calcium whore. I was looking at this plant, Dude Grow Show this last Wednesday, I think, episode. We went over deficiencies in plants. Could have been Saturday. I can't remember which one.
Saw that.
And
That's a good one.
and I was looking at one and I saw a calcium deficiency. I'm all putting this in real time right now. I'm just now. Now I see. And I on the show I quoted the calcium toxicity, and because I'd seen that before, and I just assumed it was a calcium deficiency. And I was looked at it, and I said it. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a calcium deficiency." I was like, "Oh, that's a calcium toxicity." I wonder why I've seen calcium toxicity in my plants.
Right.
And now this conversation, like 4 days later, it's like, oh, because Harley Smith told me to dose my plants, and I was nuking them with calcium. Oh my God, the only deficiencies I've ever had weren't deficiencies, JR. They were toxicities.
Wow. Yeah.
You ever dealt with toxicities?
Nitrogen side. Just
really, what's that look like?
Get that clawing. You get kind of a clawing, super dark leaves.
Dark and clawing.
Like super dark and clawing. Yeah, usually sign of your nitrogen getting too much. That's the only one I've really dealt with. That in the mag. I mean, I use the King's mix for a couple years or so, and I just was always chasing mag deficiencies with the King's mix. I think it was the cocoa they were using, because I'm getting suspicious of these cocos out there. I think if you're not using a very good high quality cocoa, you're running into mag issues.
It is as far as I'm concerned, because I work with the scientists, Scotty. I'll put Scotty Real in the scientist category. This son of a bitch ordered every kind of cocoa under the sun, and because he include the right medium with the real bucket system. So they got the buckets, the grow dots, and the recharge, and they get the cocoa. That now you're just done. You literally and so he tested all this cocoa, and I watched him do it. And the number one thing that distinguished Tana, and I'll throw the Cyatetics company. I use Cyatetics cocoa from Jaren's company over there at the 5.8. And what separates those two is 100% that it is buffered properly and it does not rob you. You don't get that intraveinal chlorosis that every single person that hates cocoa always says that they got. And they're jamming on the cow mag at bizarre ratios, and that didn't fix anything.
Because they shouldn't be together anyways. They should be separate.
There's no such thing. I've never put cow mag on to the guy who taught me growing in Iowa in the back in the day. Dude, he would just beat me over the head. He's like, you need cow mag. And I'd stand up to the sensei and I'd be like, no, sensei, you don't need the cow mag. If you have I was lucky. Psycho had just came out when I was getting serious about growing. And then Dude Grow Show had also just came out when I was just getting serious. So once you get the Humix and Fulvix, that's such a big thing. Getting amino acids in there, that's such a big thing. All these different biostimulants and stuff. I love Green Sensation. I've been using it as my secret weapon and flour.
Yeah,
and
it's a enzymatic gold. That shit's expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
I gotta tell you, Grambo. God damn! When I saw the Jaren, I almost ran New Mill as a line. I don't know, almost 8 years ago or more. And I looked at the secret sauce recipe that he had, and then I saw that Green Sensation in there, and then I saw the price, and I was just like, I can't afford that one.
No, it's a race car. He'll tell you that. It's the exact thing I just said right here, whatever, I bet you Green Dot, like they use the best heating elements in their vaporizers. They give you, it's just the terpiest freaking hash. Everything's done at the best level. And I'm sure they're just hemorrhaging money. And then here I am like paying $66 for a gram, even though I have a dozen other grams that are only slightly less good, but I wanted that. And so there's a lot of guys like Turpicana Kyle, our buddy Kyle from Turpicana. He's a new mill guy. And for what he's doing, his whole brand is Turpicana. And here's, what I found fascinating about the Turpicana thing is that a lot of times super terpy concentrates affect consistency more than flavor. I'll notice that like dry extracts can taste just as good or better than super, like his extracts will separate. So you'll have like a layer of terpenes, a layer of kind of mix, and then a layer of like sugary shit at the bottom. And it doesn't necessarily sing any more than this dry ass batter that I have right here. This dry little hunk of batter. But dear God, I could submit this in the DGC Cup and probably place,
Yeah.
It's stuff.
I'm into that too. I really like those consistencies of the batters. Some of that terpier, looser stuff, I feel like I'm leaving too much left behind, or I'm like really scrounging to get it all out. With the batter, it comes out nice and clean. You get what you get, and it's just, it's just a whipping process. It's not like, any kind of super magical stuff. It's just, I don't know. It's really weird because I transitioned from having BHO. I had a hash artist, an extraction artist who did my stuff for me for like a decade. And I just this last year started doing bubble. And I find if I process my trim fast, my bubble's great. It tastes amazing. I just used my old Mountainside mat rig, which this is like ancient. Oh, here, let me see if I get there. So this is a Mountainside mat rig. He was a glass blower that used to blow stuff for us at the shop there at the bakery. And I just got one of those like hash bowls that have the perforated holes in it. And I just burned the bubble, man. And I think it's great. I don't have to do all that pressing and freezing. Like my hash artist, he just bust my balls because I did that video about doing it. And I didn't talk about freezing it and microplaning it and all the post processing. I'm just like, bro, I don't do that. I just like, dry it and then I just throw it in the thing and I smoke it.
I was just gonna ask. I was like, isn't that the guy that lives right by Scotty Mountainside Matt? And then yes, that is. See, these are just before I got to, so like some of the DGC lore. I'm really familiar with the early lore, and then obviously I'm a part of the later lore, but it's that like year when I was super serious doing comedy. I just had a kid. My mom is dying of cancer, and I'm like working 3 jobs, and like that's kind of a blur. So like that's the Mountainside Matt era and certain stuff. But do you want to talk to Dr. J303? I'm your man.
Yeah. Dr. J, I sent him some Paloma. I don't know how it turned out. I haven't heard yet how it turned out for him.
How crazy. Like the thing about the show, I will say, here's why Dude Grows Show is Dude Grows Show, is that they are not afraid to pivot and try crazy and or genius things. This show,
that's Scott. That's Scotty. A lot of that is Scotty.
When you've been listening as long as I have, as well, because some people will say the show's changed, right? They're like, the Guru. I remember when Guru was there, it was XYZ. And I go, it changed when Guru got there. It changed when Maestro got there. It changed this show. There used to be a time where they would just play King Marijuana and just walk away. It would just play like 7 minutes mid podcast would just be dead air of a song.
Yeah, shout out to King Marijuana. Hey man, if you get out there and search that, that's the best shit ever.
That's like our secret handshake at the bakery. If I ask you how much weed you can smoke, you better say about a pound. About a pound, pound and a half. I smoke about a pound and a half. King Marijuana was the funniest.
Yeah, good stuff. Dude. But yeah, those those transitional pivots are a huge part, I think, of what our industry in our community has to deal with constantly anyways, you know. So I think you know, being able to pivot like that is part of our survival. And like I said, Scotty is a lot that has always been kind of that creative force. You know, he has a vision, even if it's Kyle standing there and throwing darts at him. That's you know, that's all part of that vision process. That's really, you know, like I said, got the show where it is today. It's fucking crazy, man.
Dabbing darts.
Dabbing darts. Yeah, I would love to have been at that meeting, right? I didn't get to go to that meeting. Okay, Kyle, we're gonna have you in there. You're gonna hold up this dartboard, and I'm gonna throw it at you for fucking dab. So good, so good.
This guy asked me questions about, like, you know, like how you crack the YouTube algorithm, you know? And I was like, dude, you can watch algorithm hacking channels to like figure that out. Like that's no secret. But what I do differently in this thing is that I am the community. When I produce things, I make them like I'm the audience. I was a fan of I was DGC,
same,
you know. So like I just think, what would I want to see? And then I do that. Like when we have to have an ad, I put a little yellow bar underneath it, because my first question when there's an ad, I go, when is this over? And when you answer the question in 15 seconds, I go, all right, I can tolerate that, you know. And I put a little bit of music under it, you know, just to make, because when people do that for me, I like it. And so, like,
yeah, me too. That's why I said it has such a feel good feeling to the production of the show now. It's like next level, and I like that now that they've taken that direction to have the Grow Talk side of it, that segment of the Grow Talk channel, because I think that's the thing that people were most bitching about whenever Guru left, is a lot of the Grow Talk stuff kind of sidelined for a little bit because they were trying to figure out these transitions and what direction we wanted to go. And so I think busting it up to where we have that Grow Talk channel that satisfies that part of the DGC for knowledge of growing, but yet we still have the show that's like the car talk. To be honest, my favorite show is the Saturday show. That's the show I love listening to tomorrow the most. Yeah, because it's just loose. You guys are fucking talking shit, and I just love that, you know, showing us crazy shit. It's fucking great.
It's so early. They put those freaking robes on. It's a pretty hilarious whole experience.
It's too good.
And the fact that this dude has just never put on a shirt. I thought for sure at some point he's gonna put the nips away and start wearing a shirt. And he's just Tarzan.
It's so good.
We get so many. You know what? I would venture the number one negative comment we get that cannot, like, you know, that consistently I see is, why the fuck are you guys in robes?
It's because we grew up in the Hugh Hefner era, man.
Well, and because we grew up in the Saturday morning cartoon era. So the idea that like 9 a.m, you and your friends gather around the TV, have a little fucking smoke, a little smoke ski, and
little drinky. You know, I'll have another lady.
And then Scott's bizarre YouTube or his Facebook algorithm.
Oh man, that's off the chain, bro. You know, talk about like, you know, just kind of dumb luck over the years. Just the fact that he's watched so much crazy shit that he gets served up so much crazy shit. It works so great for the show. It's so crazy.
What I'm loving now is he'll have a video that he wants us to watch, but then they auto plays a video like instantaneously after we watch it. I'm loving the videos that he didn't want us to watch. And dude, we had an episode the other day, must have been this Saturday or last Saturday. The next video was a woman who had a stick shift, and she cast a mold out of it and made a dildo out of her own.
I saw that.
What is going on with your algorithm, bro? I don't get dildo.
I don't either.
And I get some stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. I seen this Instagram. It was this a father, and he had his teenage daughter, and then he was looking at his 8-year-old son's searches and stuff on YouTube. And it looked pretty good for a while, and then it got to barbecue sauce on titties. His 8-year-old son searched up barbecue sauce on titties. I thought that was brilliant. That's the way to get around the algorithm, right? Or what?
Yeah, no, the barbecue sauce. If you wonder what's he going to be like when he grows up? That's why. If I had the internet, JR, it would have been a problem. And I'm not making jokes. It would have been a problem, son. But how cool is it that so I always like, because I play guitar, right? And I grew up playing guitar before the internet. And so like being really good at it meant that it was like this, like you had to like get a brand of like, I'm a musician. I hang out with musicians. I play 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
I have to read. There's a book called the Guitar Grimoire. And I had the Guitar Grimoire, and I would read the Grimoire, and I'd learn the circle of fifths, and I'd be in there. And now teenage girls, fucking 12-year-old girls, shred me because of the internet. And so I always think about that. How cool is it that, like, dude, when I was out on the road doing comedy, we were buying weed in strip clubs and gas stations, wherever we could, because we eventually ran out of weed after 5 weeks. And so, dude, it was good weed out there. The people are growing good weed out on the black deep market, you know? And I was like, damn, the thing that we're all doing in our lives of like spreading this message of the dank, hey, it's working. I'm telling you, the weed's getting better.
It is, you know, and it's like I was fortunate to grow up in like this little rainforesty part of Oregon where outdoor wasn't really an option and brickweed sucked balls. So we started growing super killer indoor in like 1980. I'll say 80 period. I saw chronic indoor skunk bud, and I was from Seaside, Oregon, and we were known for our skunk bud, right? And so we were forced to do this indoor gig. And so I never saw like brickweed. I don't even know if I've ever smoked brickweed before. And so I felt so snobby as I started moving, you know, through my journey into, you know, seeing other places. I went to Tennessee, and I got to tell you, when I went to Tennessee, they weren't at that time in the late 80s. It wasn't that great. Bro, I don't know if it was just like some ditchweed bro had in a bag or what, but I didn't see no chronic green bud. And when I took a quarter ounce to Arizona, like in 1987, and they thought I laced it with like Coke, or like they thought I put, what's that shit that they fucking trip out on? Oh God, PCP. They thought I had PCP all over this weed. And I was just like, no, it's just crystally green bud, killer green bud, you know? And they're like, no, we're not smoking that shit. We're not touching that. So they thought it was like some manufactured weird shit. But yeah, no, I've been able to kind of navigate through some pretty chronic weed from the gate. I mean, the whole genesis of me becoming a grower, my best friend's dad was a grower, and he had this strain called the Delta. And it made these little silvery buds, but it would nearly drip with resin, not like frosty, like crystally dry. It would nearly drip with resin. And it was like this sweet kind of perfumey shit that just would euphorically fuck you up, dude. I took a fresh bud like this big and I dipped it in a shot of whiskey and I put it in my mouth and I chewed it like tobacco. Bro, within an hour, I'm looking at the TV and shit ain't looking right, bro. It's getting crazy. And yeah, it was crazy. And then that was also the first time that I had experienced hash oil on weed. Like back then they called it hippie oil, and they would just do these ether extractions or other extraction methods that Scotty talks about on the show sometimes. And they would just dip these buds in this oil. And we tried this one bag that had this oil in it. I don't know if it was opium or if it was hash oil, but within 15 minutes, I'm in the front yard. Me and my buddy are in the front yard just puking our guts out, right? And I'm just so fucking high. I mean, higher than I've ever been on any kind of weed. And it was just like, yeah, it was a trip, man. Being back then, you know, it's I think a lot of us, you know, who've been doing this journey a long time, like I was talking to OD Diesel out in the field, and he's got 40 years of cultivation experience. And so that man has come across some probably amazing shit. So, you know, sometimes when I'm out there and I see stuff, it's just, you know, it's got to be special nowadays. It's like, and I try to tell people, you know, pick those phenos for flavor, you know, flavor and effect. sometimes looks isn't always, the driving factor. I mean, we've all experienced some really great strains, phenotypes that maybe didn't look that great, but just like tasted amazing.
One of the questions that I had gotten was definitely, and you're always the guy that I always like to ask it, it just came in today. I was asking people for just random questions, and one of it was like always people consistently a needed question, and you're always my guy for this, you and Sue, about pain. What do you liking right now in the roster? Like there's things that like no one can get, but there's certain things that people can get. They can hit up Seeds Here Now for stuff. They can hit up you on Instagram over on realdgc.com. Find JR for cuts over there. And what would you recommend for pain right now? You're the pain guy. You've had so many surgeries that make your fucking neck crack. And you might be the most cannabis for pain guy I know. Just smoking wise, I know you like your RSO. Just smoking wise, what are you liking out in the rotation out in the world?
For me, if it's going to be inhaled into my lungs, I'm looking for something that's going to be sedative, but not so sedative that my head is just unusable. I like that euphoricness that gives me kind of a pep and a drive. Some people think Paloma is super heavy. I don't. The way it mixes with my chemistry is it gives me energy, but yet at the same time, it's heavy enough that it's pretty good for the pain part. But I mean, if you are dealing with chronic pain on a suffering level, you need to approach it all three ways. You really need to eat it, you need to smoke it, and you need to rub it on you. I've been working with these rubs for 20 years. And, I've tried different various coconut infusion type stuff. And I came across this DITDAJAW, DITDAJAW, DITDAJAW. And DITDAJAW is a herbal tincture that these Shaolin monks have made for over 2,000 years. And they use it on their monks to heal themselves if they've been in battle or if they've been fighting a tiger. DITDAJAW, DITDAJAW. I think I said AW, but it's JOW, JOW. And so you get this tincture, right? And there's a Plum Dragon website. It's, I think, plumdragon.com. And the DITDAJAW can come in herbal packs where you can just make your own tincture, or you can buy an already made tincture product. And yeah, that purple one right there with the dauber on it, next to the guy going next to that guy, that's it right there. And so what the DITDAJAW is designed to do is it does vascular healing. So it helps bruising and any kind of fucked up shit you might have from diabetes or whatever you're having circulation issues. But it also has a big anti-inflammatory factor to it, right? And so if you take 1-to-1 like a THC, CBD type 2 or type 3 flower, cannabis, anything you can do to make your coconut infusion, you can add this DITDAJAW to it and it takes it on another level. And the things that I've done is we've had Future 4200 on the show, and he has futurecompounds.com, and you can get isolate. So you can buy CBD isolate, CBG isolate, and it's just in a powdered form. And I add 500 milligrams to every 4-ounce jar of this infusion that I make. I add emu oil because it mimics DMSO in that it has a carrier that kind of brings it deeper into you. I add some mintiness for some smelliness. And that rub is hugely effective for a lot of people. Shoulders, hips, back, all neck, all that kind of stuff. I've had people talk about having it for migraine issues. Sunny said she uses it at the base of her neck and her skull. And Cortez actually has been playing around with the recipe. And I have this recipe that's available to people because I could go down that rabbit hole of trying to make this product, buy pounds of weed and blah, 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 blah. I don't got time for that shit. So I have this really incredible recipe that you can put together fairly simply, or you can find people like Cortez who are going to be putting together a product that maybe you can pick up, on a more regular basis. So definitely find a rub that works for you. And then the next step is your edible, your RSO. You can go to some shops and get a live rosin edible. That's going to be full spectrum. And sometimes you can get.
I'm on those right now.
All right, good. See, that's good because now you're not just isolating what you're getting. You're getting a good, granted, some of these are made with, THC dominant types, but you can get the type 2s, you can get the mix of THC, CBD edibles in there in your live rosin edibles, and you're going to get a broader
good weed. Like when I take there's distillate gummies and there's alcohol gummies, alcohol extraction, and then also CO2, but that's rarer these days. And they all taste like there's a little bit of like a pill, like in the front end, it tastes like oh yum 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 yum, and in the back end, it's like there's that fucking distillate, yuck, But when I taste these, it's literally like succulent. It's like what I've always dreamed of. I eat a company here that's actually DGC. Is called Dialed In. They're a DGC product. They came
Shout
out
this way, Dialed In. I'm down.
They fucking like Bane. They crawled out of pit, homie.
Nice. Yeah, so the edible things, you got to do your edible thing, and then find a good smoke. Find something that's going to be a little more sedative. That's going to kind of put you down a little bit for your night times. And then in the daytime, if you need to function, find something that's a little more functional. Even though it might not be as heavy, it's still going to help you stay saturated kind of throughout the day.
Hell yeah, dude. That's from the fucking the owl's mouth, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know anybody. Everyone has a different journey. If you scratch a stoner grower, a little bit, you're gonna find an injured, sick person usually. I found almost every grower is a little bit broken, like
inside
some more
here,
than others.
Sometimes up here, sometimes in here, and sometimes it's your body.
I've found that I was definitely using it to cover a lot of my demons. I'm a very ADD maniac. Well, turns out I was just in the wrong place. I can't read, and I'm hyperactive to make creative shit. Oh, you put me in the right place. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I feel no need to be destructive anymore. So yeah, cannabis is it is a godsend. Don't let it, I'm finding a lot of the advice that I'm seeing is as it unfolds, like me and you talked about this at the Emerald Cup. By day 2 of the Emerald Cup, I flew all the way to the Emerald Cup to like hang out with you and DGC and new friends and everything. But we wake up at 7 a.m. to get to the event. I'm hitting the pen. I'm taking some dabs. I'm smoking joints. I'm hitting your glass. Next thing you know, I'm sitting on the couch. I'm not talking to anybody.
I know.
Why do I even come here?
I know, but dude, it was my booth, and I'm supposed to be, sitting at the booth talking with people. Me and you sat on the fucking couch, I think, for like 3 or 4 hours, just bullshitting and smoking and smoking and smoking.
And we were right there. We were there to, but we had Uncle Jim, shout out. He's
Uncle Jim, shout out. Yeah, we had we really got lucky. I hope we get that spot again next year because we had our 10x10 booth, but we also had a 10x10 section where we had a lounge. Q was genius enough to buy this blow up couch from Costco, which I gotta say, that was clutch, dude. That thing was
an outdoor wood couch, and it was rugged enough to use out on the pavement, and it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I will be there, JR. That was
right up, man.
When people asked me for my report when I got back, they're like, "How was it?" My report back was prohibition is falling down. You couldn't just walk around toking blunts, but you could hit your pen everywhere. You could smoke blunts outside. The cops were standing there wishing us a good time. We took a picture with the cop.
Security's hitting us up for weed. I hooked up 2 security people with weed. They're like, "Yeah, hey man, you got any of that good flower I can smell over there?" It's like, "Sure, homie, no problem, man." I hooked up homie twice.
Yeah. Remember, I was flirting with that security guard woman, and that's a perfect example of being too high. In the mornings, I'm like, "Yo, what up? Oh, you over here being crazy." And by the end of the day, I'm just like, "Yo, you have a good day."
Oh shit, that's so good. It was a good
weed
time.
Doesn't help.
I want to get Scotty and those guys out there next year. It's a much smaller venue. I mean, if you're expecting the giant Emerald Cup of O, it's not going to be that, but it's a fun time. And that whole parking lot that was next to us was supposed to be built out, and there was going to be staged because Too Short. Can you be fucking Too Short played that night? And I didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell. I thought
We
all
didn't
the
hear.
entertainment was canceled because the stage and all that shit was gone. So I missed that
Too
whole
Short.
thing. But you know, next year they're going to have that whole parking lot for food vendors and stages and all that good shit. So I'm excited. I can't wait.
Sicko wants to do a barbershop weed lounge, and I suppose,
Hell yeah.
man,
I
he
do
does my
too,
beard.
man. I'd be down with
How
that.
cool would it be to get a tune up? Although fucking token up while you're getting a beard, I couldn't. I need my beard looking good.
Bro, whoever does your work, yeah, I forgot what DGC that was, but bro, someone's cutting you tight.
Sicko Grows right here. Sicko.
Nice
He's
job,
my man.
Sicko.
Shout out there.
I see
Is
it on IG.
Although
when you
someone
post.
said last week I look like Anton LaVey, and I was like, how dare you? How dare you? I looked it up. He's bald with a pointy beard. I was like, I kind of do. What am I gonna do? Hell yeah. Well, we did it, JR. We came up on 90, brother. That was fast.
Yeah, it was a good time. It's always a good time to shoot
Hell
shit
yeah.
with the homies.
So definitely everyone in the chat here that is in right now, they for sure know exactly who JR Tokin is, but you'll get a few thousand views here in the next week. For all the people that don't know where to find you, where should they find JR Tokin?
We're always on Cannabis, the app, and Cannabis, the YouTube channels on Spotify, Amazon, and all your podcasting platforms. Also, you can find me at j.r._tokin Tokin on Instagram, but I'm so deeply shadow banned. You really have to type every letter in exactly, or you have to know someone who knows me, and you can find me through them. I can't even go live. Like, I'm so decimated by them. But you know what? When I post, I don't really want to post to a million people that I kind of really don't think really give a fuck about me anyways. So I like having my community. I mean, I like having my DGC and my Cannabuzzers, and all the other people I met on Instagram over the years. I have like when I just went through this whole surgery thing, and they're like canceling my surgeries, and I'm not being able to get shit done. I had like 8,000 people comment and tell me how much they care about me and want me to get this done. And so that community outreach is hard. I try to switch over to X, but X is so, I don't know what the fuck's going on over there. It's really hard to navigate that whole scene.
Instagram and YouTube are the best communities.
Yeah.
And so that's why, definitely. If you guys don't do Instagram, go over to realdgc.com and find JR and get those cuts. Stop asking me where to get those cuts. You get them from JR over
at realdgc.com. I post on realdgc.com weekly, and I try to put my menus up. Every time I post a menu, I post on realdgc.com and the app.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that's it, baby. So thank you, JR. That was hopefully enlightening. I said I wasn't gonna get that high, but I took some of those rosin gummies and a few after a half dozen dabs. Things get wild, JR. So thank you for hanging out. It blew by, as it always does.
Such a good time, man. Smash that button, y'all.
Yeah, always say share this button or share this button. Roll this.
Yeah, share the button, roll it up.
Yeah.
That's good, man. You are baked right now, bro. You always say that perfectly with perfect timing. I love that one. Say it again.
I'm not very professional. That's my late night smoke. We getting smoky, JR Tokin. So, all right. As always, we close with Cannabis Vibe. Thank you, guys.
Growers love.
Peace out.
We're dropping knowledge on Grambo Bros, talking about plants and how they go. Let's go. From seeds to the cure, we always smoke pure. Nothing but good vibes.